Hello, Sari here. Welcome back to another episode of Your Fucking Welcome. I, like many of you, I'm sure, have been watching Sex Life on Netflix. And I watched it back when I was home in New Jersey over the past couple weeks, and I was kind of like watching it on my phone like a teenager. Like, I didn't have my own TV to myself, and so I was kind of watching it here and there. And so over the past couple days, being home in LA, back in my home, I was able to actually watch it on a TV and watch it in my own space. And so I wanted to kind of go back and recheck it out, not just because it is ridiculously hot and sexy and like there's lots of perks in that area, but more than that, because I feel as though the show itself, the main character, Billy, who is a female, the main character stands for so much of what I agree with, or is trying to strive for that anyway. And just this whole concept, this whole thought process, however you want to say that, of you being okay, acknowledging and admitting that what you have, right, might not be enough for you. Being okay with admitting and declaring the fact that like you want more, and whether that's in your relationship, whether that's in your business, whether that's with your body, like this goes a million different ways. But I feel so inspired and so lit up and so excited to have these conversations with you, with the women that I speak to, with my friends, just about really challenging and pushing back with so many societal norms that there are out there in terms of feeling like, again, you have to, go to school, go to college, get married, have the babies, be the stay-at-home mom who is loyal to their spouse for the rest of their lives, right? There's nothing wrong with that path if that is what you want. There's nothing wrong with that path if that's what you want. But if that is not what you want, or it's not all that you want, again, it's so okay and it's so courageous to admit and to acknowledge the fact that you might want more than what you currently have, right? And so I don't want to spoil too much for you here, especially if you haven't watched it. I know that I would be super irritated if somebody spoiled a show or a movie for me, but one of the quotes that I just wrote down, something that Billy says in the last episode, and I just scribbled it, so it might not be word for word exactly, but she said something along the lines of, "I am happy, but this is not enough. The true freedom and power is in saying it out loud and letting our desires be known." And I just wanted to bring this up, and it's such a bigger conversation, right? But again, being inspired since I had just watched it, I just wanted to bring this up and open up the conversation essentially about you being okay with saying those desires out loud, right? You acknowledging that you get to have everything the way that you want it, or you at least get to strive for everything that you want. Like, I think the concept of cheating, for example, which is a big, obviously, theme in this show, like cheating in and of itself is, of course, wrong, right? I'm not trying to act like it's ever okay. While at the same time, I feel like it's so much more layered and it's so much more complex than just being the black and white piece of like this person cheated, right? I think it's much more complex and layered than that. It's just not a simple situation. And I'm using that as the example because I think that cheating, right, happens typically, and I know that there are unique situations and different circumstances, but my belief as a general situation is that if somebody is cheating, right, it is because they're not happy in their situation, right? And for better or for worse, whether it's right or they're wrong, there is something else out there that they feel as though they need. And I feel like cheating, again, as an example, is something that causes and creates so much pain for so many people, and it trickles down to, the kids, all of these kind of things. It's such a painful, hard topic and situation. But I also believe that so much of it stems from the fact that so few of us are honoring and acknowledging and saying out loud what we want in the first place, right? Maybe, it's the person who doesn't feel as though they are being appreciated. And so they seek appreciation outwards. Maybe it's that person who doesn't feel as though they are being, like sexually acknowledged or like being given to, essentially, like they're not having as much sexual contact as they would like, and so they wind up seeking it outside of their relationship or their marriage. And again, I want to be so clear that I'm not saying that that's okay. I'm not saying that that's okay, but I am saying that I feel like we as a collective have such a communication issue. We have such a communication issue when it comes to like this being a problem for me that I'm not being appreciated, this being a problem for me that we're not being intimate, right? So many people are afraid to say that, or even to go and say that like the sex isn't the way that I want it to be, or, I'm not, again, getting the date nights that I want. And we're not taught to articulate our desires. We're not taught to actually say that, like, this is the way that I want things to be. This is the way that I want this thing in my business to go. This is the way that I want, our relationship to feel. This is what's important for me when, let's say, you're going out for a night with your significant other and it's a really important night to them. And you're not sitting there saying, like, what would make this night good for you? Like, what would make it a win for you? Well, how can I be there to support you tonight? We're all in our own heads, and we're so often, counting points and focusing on what we might need, or from a place of insecurity, we're projecting our insecurities onto other people, and we're not acknowledging where we're not expressing what we wanted in the first place, right? And so I know I'm a little all over the place here because I want to make this a short episode, whereas I could literally talk to you about this for years and years and years. And I think that we need to have conversations like about this. And I'm going to open up some really cool things soon so that we can have more layered conversations about, again, life and business and all of these kinds of things. But I just wanted to, again, open this up today and have this episode today as a means of reminding you that in every aspect of your life, it is your job to say what you want and own what you want and to know what you want and to expect what you want, right? And the moment that you don't, the moment that you kind of allow things to be subpar and then you bury it and then you swallow it, little by little, you lose a little bit of yourself. Whether that's, you're becoming more resentful day by day or whatever it is. But I see this happen all the time in business when people hire somebody, and I see this happen all the time in relationships. And I'm not saying in a way of like it's that person's fault, because again, we weren't taught this, right? I think it's like just the collective's fault that we all don't give ourselves permission or know that we have the permission to express what we want. But I think in, again, its most simplest form, you have a right to get what you want in any relationship, in any aspect of your life, any aspect of your business. And it's your job, like I said, to know what you want, to declare what you want, and essentially command what you want. And to, when you have situations where somebody or something is not living up to exactly what it is that you want, it's your job to articulate that. And it's your job to leave situations when they're not rising to the occasion, essentially. Right? I was having a conversation with two friends last week, and we were just talking about all of this and, talking about how important, for example, sex was to somebody in particular that I was having the conversation with. And like the other person, the other party of that relationship, not understanding what it meant to them. Right. And like he was sharing with me just the way in which that he wound up like feeling like more resentful. And he's like, I caught myself, would have been about to do something for my significant other. And I caught myself not wanting to do it for her because I was kind of feeling resentful and like feeling like, okay, well, she hasn't, acknowledged me. And so I wasn't getting what I wanted. And so I almost didn't want to give her what she wanted. And I feel like that's such a thing that happens in so many relationships where it's tit for tat and it's this like point counting and like, this person didn't do this for me, so I'm going to hold out on sex, and then so on and so forth. And it just becomes this cycle. And he said, he goes, I just like caught myself like, that's not who I want to be. I don't want to be the person who is so resentful that they don't want to do things for their significant other. That's not who I want to be. And I just felt like that was such a brave and important and smart thing to say, right? And it's emotional intelligence that I feel like so many of us and so many people are lacking in so many situations where they let their emotions or they let their resentment get the best of them. And instead, this person in particular was smart enough and, kind enough essentially to themselves and their spouse as well to say that, like, this is why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling. And this is why I'm not feeling as happy or as fulfilled as I would like to ideally. And so let's get on the same page here and let's make it our job to fix this, right? And that person, therefore, like the partner could understand that, like, oh, this is actually what's going on here. This is actually why this person is struggling. And this is actually some of the, the root of some of our issues right now. And we can get onto the same page and give one another the things that are important to one another so that we can ultimately make each other's lives better, because that's what we're here to do, right? In relationships, whether it's, again, a sexual, like romantic relationship, or whether it's that contractor you're hiring the contractor to make your life better. You're hiring the contractor to help your business move more seamlessly. If we're going to hire somebody only for them to make our jobs more difficult and then to spend money to make our jobs more difficult, what the fuck are we doing? If we're in a romantic relationship that, like, we're partnered up with somebody only for it not to make our lives better, not to enhance our lives, again, what the fuck are we doing? Why wouldn't we just then want to be by ourselves, right? And so, again, I know that this is kind of a little bit all over the place because, like I said, I feel like I could talk about so many of these things on a micro level for hours and hours, and I plan on doing that because I want to do that. This kind of topic is really the thing that fires me up more than anything. But I just want to leave you with the understanding here that, again, it is okay if your relationship, your business, your life, whatever it is, right, in any area, is not living up to the expectations that you once had or that you have now. It is more than okay to sit back and reassess and go through what's going on here with a fine-tooth comb and sit there and say that, like, this isn't making me happy. This isn't making me happy. This doesn't work for me. I want more here. And for you to essentially, again, articulate it, right, kindly, but articulate it to that other person, those other people, whatever, maybe it's to yourself, and get yourself on the path towards getting what you want, right? Because this idea, this thought, this norm of settling for so much less than what you want, I think it's something that I just want to see so many more of us take a stand for. And, every single time when people ask me why I moved to California from New Jersey, like, I've said the same thing many times where I'm like, I was happy. It's not as though I was unhappy. Like, I have good friends. I have good family. Like, there was nothing wrong with the life that I was living. It was very comfortable. It was fine. But it wasn't enough. I was happy, but I wanted to be happier. I knew being happier was possible. And so I just want you to challenge yourself here in every aspect of your life and in your business to recognize where you could be happier and to take a stand for those things, because I know that there are so many excuses and valid excuses sometimes about, okay, well, here's why I can't, pack up and move across the country, or here's why, we can't have more date nights, or here's why I can't have my, team member doing XYZ for me. But I think when you look at so many of the reasons, the excuses, like, again, even when there's validity to them, we can always poke them and we can always challenge them and we can always find a way when it comes to what's really, really, really important to us. There's always a hack. There's always a workaround, right? And I just want you to give yourself the permission to, again, acknowledge that you get to have what you want, acknowledge the ways in which that you could actually be happier in your life, in your business, in your relationships, and then to fucking go after it, because day by day, week by week, month by month, they go by, right? And I don't want you continuously feeling as though your life is not enough, right? It's not ultimately what you want, right? And so again, to come back to it, like her saying, I am happy, but this isn't enough. It's fucking okay to admit that. It's beautiful for you to admit that. It's actually the kind thing for you to do in many situations, to admit that, right? Rather than, again, burying the resentment you have towards other people for not living up to what it is that you ultimately want. You get to have what you want, and you get to take a stand for going after it. And I want you to know that. Please, please, please know that, and please give yourself that, okay? Share this with somebody, because I know somebody else needs to hear it. I know many people need to hear it. And again, we're going to be diving into this conversation a lot more in a lot of different angles, because it's something that I believe so strongly in, and I believe that more and more people, and again, specifically women, need to give themselves permission to acknowledge as well, okay? I'll talk to you in the next episode. Bye.